Hello, everyone watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify. It's another episode of NRG Insights. For those that don't know, this is delving into the world of financial services, whether that be broking, specialist lending, or any kind of ancillary products into our market, talking to influential people on the market who can give some valuable insights, hence the name of the podcast. So today I've got Dan Kendrick with me. Thanks for joining me, Dan.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, Marcus.
No problem at all. So talk to me about your financial services journey up to being sales director at Big Property Finance.
So
BRG.
I started back doing some BD for a small lender called Little Business Loans. We're in the cash flow space, sort of doing what I would, I wouldn't call it sort of the bottom end of the market, but it was certainly a part of the market other people weren't looking to be in. And when the guy I was working for, a long-standing friend of mine, decided to try and corner that. So, it's almost...
Is that unsecured business loans, that type of, or like asset invoice?
literally business loans, but secured against property. So typical sort of things as
Okay, so still real
vehicle
estate.
purchases, machinery purchases, payday sort of wages, almost anything.
Yeah.
It was kind of, you apply on a Monday, you get funded on a Wednesday, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But so there's loads of people in that space now. I mean, I could rattle off a load of names. I'm sure you know half of them, but at the time...
Yeah, they email me every week asking if I want to borrow money. Damn, it's in a fund. So.
You don't need any money, man. I've seen how popular you are. But listen, it was a good grounding. It was the bottom end of the market. It was a hard sell. A lot of my London brokers used to be like, Dad, don't get out of bed for 10, 20 grand loans. But when they saw the comms they could earn, and
It is funny comms that end of the market, isn't it? Even like fleet and stuff, I think people neglect it, and it's interesting.
It is, and if it's getting funded in the same week, I always used to say to them, sort of, those little small, what they'd call small loans that I was doing at the time, 20 grand, 30 grand, whatever, they keep the lights on, they pay the bills, and obviously the big property ones will pay for the holidays and the cars. So eventually we got it to a point of people respected it. These guys are still going strong as ever. So I was with them I started as BD there, then I went up to head of business development, had a cracking 4.5 years there. Truth be told, I could have even still been there now, but COVID hit. We were doing 20 grand, 30 grand loans, as I say. All of a sudden, the bounce back loan comes in and offers you 50K, 2.5% per annum. And all of a sudden, that 25% I'm charging doesn't seem so appealing. So literally overnight, we got wiped out in terms of the business we could do, because every man and his dog could get a bounce back. I even had one of our customers do it in front of me. 6 clicks on his Barclays app, and he's got 50 grand. I'm good, but I'm not that good to compete with that.
Yeah, it's going to take at least 8 clicks.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a tough time. I went on furlough. I mean, you know me relatively well by now. I'm sort of a proactive sales guy. I'm not really one for sitting just on my thumbs twiddling. Next thing you know, the owner of Bushel Investment Group, of one of which Big Property Finance, of one of the 6 or 7 companies. I've known him for a long time. He's gone, Dad, I really want to grow the business. You're the man to come and do it. Let's have a chat. So we had a couple of good chats. There was a lot to go at. They worked to do it at Dan Kendrick. He was sort of set up as one of his many businesses. He was very, very successful in lots of other areas, including HR and scaffolding and gold. In fact, he was categorically the biggest buyer of gold in Europe at one point. So there was... And that's what you do when you've got excess funds. You either start lending it or you invest it in property. And he decided to do both. So we had a good chat. The opportunity was to really grow a bridging lender, which was exciting. It was blank canvas. There wasn't much marketing. There wasn't much in the way of website presence or LinkedIn or any of that. So it was kind of, it would all rest on my shoulders. But I'm happy with that. Because if the results come in equally, you're going to get the pat on the back as well. So we went to work. That was best part of 5 years ago. In fact, I'll have been here 5 years in April. Started off as the BD, which, as I say, we kind of just hit the ground running. It was a decent first year. Second year, we had the best year we'd had. Sort of ends that being promoted to BDD. So sitting in the business development director role. I then took a hold of the marketing, because across all of the companies, Lee, the owner, he had a sort of marketing team across his 7 companies, but I felt we weren't getting the direct sort of service I needed and that I wanted in the response time. I mean, sadly for me, although we were the most profitable at one point, we were one of the smaller companies. So
Yeah.
I was a bit far down the pecking order, mate. Not that I'm not used to that, but I thought if I get some outsourced guys that can report directly into me, we can really push this. So I had an outsourced SEO specialist, outsourced marketing team that kind of reported directly into me, and then we started really building the brand. Which I like to think has gone well. You might tell me otherwise, but I sort of more people now.
That's good. It's good rep.
More people know us, and it was just little old me covering the whole of England and Wales. We did take on a guy. He had a good, again, obviously not name dropping or pointing fingers. He had a good CV and been at a couple of the bigger lenders. I think he wanted to be more of, and you'll know this, mate, because you know the game as well as anyone. He wanted to be more of an account manager, dare I say.
You know what? It's really interesting to say that because, and again, I don't know who you're talking about, but it's the jump, and we see it all the time in recruitment. The jump from corporate to a smaller lender when your phone doesn't ring is a massive jump for some people, and some people absolutely thrive on it, by the way. But it's such a big step. Like people assume like your network's going to follow you from, I don't know, Shawbrook or Together, and actually they're not. They're with Together. They're with Shawbrook, and we get it all the time. We even get it with with bankers when they move into like the broking side, and they're like, everyone's just going to come with me. And I think it's a shock to the system of how hard you have to work in small business just to get people on the phone, as opposed to expecting the phone to ring. So I do get that. It's not
completely. He was in the office with us, and I'm just.
Let's not dwell on this guy, by the way, because I don't know who it is. I don't.
But we sort of, there was not a lot of phone calls being made, and then we went to a networking event, and I wasn't really getting involved. And I kind of said, just out of interest, how did you go about getting business? And,
business.
I'm firing off a few emails, I'm sending a few sort of WhatsApps. I'm like, fortunately, man, when we are a relatively small fish in a big pond, you've really got to be at it. And literally the FD in a big move. We got a second office next to our actual office because he says I'm on the phone so bloody much trying to drum up that business. And when you're actually where we are trying to grow the business, you've got to be at it on the phone, sort of making calls.
Well, let's delve into that side of things. Then what is the magic of BD then, especially in this market when you are one of 240 bridging and development lenders, right? What's the magic that is getting not maybe get your phone to ring because we still got to ring out, but what is the magic that's getting people interested in you? What do you think you have to do? What sets you apart?
Well,
or not just you, but I mean in general.
Well, first things first. I mean, I think you've got to believe in it. I'm a big advocate of that. If you take in a sales gig, you don't believe in the product, you're going to struggle. Second thing, you got to enjoy it. So I mean, for me, just I don't want to digress too much because I don't want to hear chat finance, but I used to knock doors doing enforcement. And I don't. There's all the sales courses in the world that people
chasing money. It's the same thing.
People pay thousands upon thousands to get a sales course, but if you can convince people to pay money that they don't want to pay or they haven't got, I'm telling you that's the biggest grounding in sales you'll ever have. So I bounce into this every day with a spring in my step. I'm not collecting more money anymore. I'm lending it, but communication, the one thing that can set me apart, and we know a lot of the same guys, a lot of the same brokers. You're always going to get me. There's no hiding behind the emails. There's no not fronting it up. Big Property Finance, we pride ourselves on the communication and the service. Now, you mentioned, I think you said 230 lenders, 240 lenders.
That's not even including those little family offices.
There's probably 5 more that have popped up while we've been sitting here. But let me tell you, mate, we've been going.
Let's go out to next week, so there'll be 250.
Just don't get them on. Let me have my moment. But we've been going 15 years, so we're obviously doing something right. There's been a bit of turbulation that time. I've been here for the best part of 5. And when we get brokers on, we tend to retain them, and it's simply from the speed of responses, the honest responses. If I don't like a deal, it's not just a flat line or a non-response. I'll be, Marcus, it's not for us because of this and this. So next time, you've already got a flavour of what we'll do and what we won't do. My job.
Well, I say that all the time. Like your no's have to be quicker than your yeses, don't they? Because it's so annoying. It's so frustrating for brokers when having said that, they do someone just fire it out and see what happens. But you've got to get those responses. They won't rely on you next time.
Say that again.
I said that because they won't rely on you next time, will they?
Exactly.
If you don't,
I've been speaking to brokers sort of all day, every day for the best part of a decade now, and the things they want is a quick response, clarity, and a nice, easy process. And I think, I like to think I pride myself on offering all 3. In terms of my role, they're the things I can control. Now, again, we both know the game. If all of a sudden you have a funding line pulled, or if the head of credit's had a change of direction, or there's an issue of that on that side of things. I can't impact it, but as a sales director, I can make sure we're slick, we're responsive, we're agile, we're honest, and to be honest, it's going on the honesty piece. Those basics will get you a long way. I mean, you don't need to go to uni and get a master's to do what I do. You just need to answer the bloody phone and respond to emails and just be clear on what you like and what you don't like. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed, or maybe you wouldn't be, because you deal with a lot of candidates, that the amount of guys who overpromise and underdeliver. And it's a basic old saying, but my sort of old men.
You know what? It's not even the overpromising of BDs as well. It's the same in my world where, people are applying for jobs. It's the number one reason people leave in the first year is that it's been oversold as to what they can achieve. And I'm like, if everyone knows that, well, maybe they don't because they're not in my world. But if most of us know that if you overpromise something, people aren't going to come back or they're going to leave, surely we'd knock it on the head. But it's such a common problem, whether that be BD, recruitment, whatever it is. We can do that, or yes, you'll definitely get to this in this space of time. It's nuts, right?
It is nuts. I mean, I heard a horror story of, someone in our sector leaving a really good gig at a good lender that you and I would both respect, with the promise of hopes and dreams of a more senior role and privately funded capital to throw out the door. And they got in the hot seat, and on the second day, they got told that potential of all that privately funded capital had gone. And you're like, it's just heartbreaking.
How did you not know that before as well? How did you not? Well, anyway, I think I know what you mean, but yeah, it's a shocker.
It is shocking. So in terms of that BD, it's you've got to have broad shoulders. I mean, I fire out a load of sort of messages to brokers that I want to get in touch with, and sometimes you get a reply, sometimes you don't. You've got to be a bit more persistent. I'd like to think that a bit of persistence is good without being a right pain in the ass.
How do you do that then? How do you measure the difference between being persistent and a pain in the ass? Because I'm a bit of an ego, right? I think if someone ignores me a couple of times, they're not interested. But actually, I also know that the magic is in the follow-up. So you kind of got to leave your ego a bit at the door when it comes to BD. Where do you draw the line?
I think you can attack it in a few different ways. I mean, I've got a real life example of literally a message I sent yesterday. So probably a year ago today, because you and I both can find ourselves in MIPIM, I'd imagine, again in March.
Yeah.
Messaged a really well-respected broker down south. And I think what hampers me a touch as well, obviously we're a Midlands-based lender, but there's so much going on in London that I'm not present there as much as I would like. I'm trying to change that. I'm mixing in some good circles now who are helping me. But I'd messaged this broker,
It's that hour and a half train, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quicker for you to get in than it is from Essex.
So I messaged this broker a year ago, said, there's going to be a MIPIM fancy meeting up. Don't want to bore you with all the details. No response. Fired a LinkedIn message, similar thing, no response. And I tried to call him, we missed each other on the phone. Anyway, it didn't go anywhere. So, but you then realize you're mixing in a similar few circles, and we've all got someone that knows and respects and trusts us that will have that link. So I went speaking to so and so, we really reckon we should get in touch. What do you think? What do you think about me buying you lunch before the Shawbrook event in MIPIM? And he got straight back to me, and I was on a WhatsApp.
Weird that, isn't it? Free lunch and he straight back.
Well, you said it, right? You said it, but I just kind of, the WhatsApp, the more relaxed approach. I didn't give it the big, privately funded lender. We can do this, and this. Some of the jargon I usually go for.
It's the relationship stuff as well, isn't it? Right? They got to know you first. It's pointless you giving the big pitch, because every other fucker's given the big pitch.
Exactly.
That day.
Exactly. So I changed my tact on that one, but maybe if it's a lot. I used to try to. I absolutely detest the generic LinkedIn sales message that some people send. So it'll be like they'll come down to my inbox. We'll be like, "Hi, David." And you're like, "Oh, I can't even get my name right." That's a bit of a wound.
My first name, just in brackets, they haven't done the helix right.
Yeah, that's another classic. So I take a bit of time on my sort of LinkedIn messages. I'll check the profile. I'll sort of, I'll try and relate. And again, I sent a really good message to a broker that I think is doing good things. He flatlined me. And I just started commenting on a few of his posts. And then we kind of got a bit of a rapport that way. I mean, don't get me wrong.
It's touch points, isn't it? Was it someone's got to see 12 times before they notice you and like 20 times before they trust you? It's all touch points,
exactly. And then the more they see, I might come out on your post and they really like you, and it kind of the trust can get built in many ways. I was going to say no one really likes you.
Put a profile back down again. Start from scratch.
But yeah, but again, the best key for me is getting in front of people. I've made a living. I'm a good judge of character. Again, bouncing back to the enforcement stuff. In that first 5 seconds, someone opens the door. You're assessing them, and I mean, especially if they happen to be the size of you. I'm going to be, I've really got to talk my way out of this. I don't need any of those big guns coming my way. So I've always been a great talker. I've always been a great assessor of a situation, a good judge of character. I think bringing that skill set into an environment where people actually want to do business. Brokers want a lender they can trust. So it's not like I'm knocking that door trying to get some money out of someone. Yes, they might not want the big PowerPoint presentation and the hard pitch. They might want a round of golf. They might want a couple of beers. They might want both. They might just want, 20 minutes of an informal chat in your office. But I can suss that out pretty quickly. I've got whatever I have now, 670 brokers on my CRM. And of course, I don't do business with all of those, mate. You know that.
That'd be nice.
There's probably, I'll be talking to you from Barbados right now in the lounge. I probably do solid business with, 40, 50, 60 of those. I probably speak to 100 of them regularly, and the rest.
Right, on that, right, you don't need 400 clients, do you?
No.
You need 20, 30, 40, I don't know your stats are, but like for us, we was saying, if we looked after the people that spend money with us, we realistically probably wouldn't have to do another BD call again. It's very different because other people are trying to poach, always nicking from their, nibbling from what you've got. But if we concentrate on the people we've got, like you've got enough business, right? I know you always need more because of the dropouts, but that important bit of retention is super important in both our games, right? In the business development.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, a solid broker, one of the brokers that you've been through the trenches with. You've pulled out a last gas deal where someone else let them down, or you've got that rapport. I mean, my top 10 guys that I speak to every week without fail. The first 15 minutes or 10 minutes of that call, it's not even about business. It's how's the missus, how's the kids, but Liverpool crap last night.
The magic in there, trying to avoid the thing you sell for as long as possible.
Obviously, I'll get it in there at some point, man. I managed to loop it around, so if you've got anything on your desk for me, but
Yeah, I do it the other way around, is I completely forget, and then I get off the call and go, oh shit, by the way, I have to call you back.
So, I mean, and that's the beauty of the best relationships. Of course, it doesn't always go like that. And, I'm sure some of them think, oh, bloody hell, Dan's calling me again. It's finding that balance. But my top 10 guys, my best, I mean, this proves that my best guy, the first 2 years at Big Property Finance, we didn't do a deal. Birmingham based, getting like a house on fire, all the same interests, just couldn't make it click. And then in year 3, we did like 7 or 8, and then, it's just flown from then. But again, we just kept that rapport, see each other at a few networking events, stay on the phone. And then, once it clicked and he really found what our strong suit, because again, mate, I'm not here to plug the business because you just switched me off, but we're not going to be for everyone. But once you find where we fit in and how I operate, because make no mistake about it, I'm a sales director for Big Property Finance, but the brokers bring me the business. So it's my job to get these guys and push deals as much as I can, never jeopardizing the business for any one deal. But if they're getting paid, I'm getting paid, we're getting paid. So you want to be doing as many deals as you can.
So, that's longevity stuff as well, isn't it? You mentioned like maybe year 3 or 4. I've got the same. I've got clients that didn't do anything with me for the first 2 or 3 years that we met. And now, like last year, they may have spent more than anyone else. It's just, it's very, very narrow-minded or short-term thinking to think, right, I'm not doing anything with this guy. Let's move on to the next one. Like all of these relationships we're building are long-term, aren't they? They're for most of it's for the future.
But I think some lenders might push some brokers, or some lenders might push some BDs into that way of thinking, because a lot of these guys, and I'm not poo-pooing other lenders, but again, it's not. I won't do it on here. I'll do it with you at a pint next week.
I'd say what
just pushing.
You make your point.
Meetings and forcing calls and stuff. I'm lucky with the guys I've been at. And sorry to interrupt you there, but just finishing that point. It's not a case of, Dan, you've got to have 20 meetings a week, or Dan, you've got to make 100 calls. And I think you can force relationships and annoy people.
That was going to be my point, Dan. That's a really good point. That it's that fourth. And I get it, right? And I'm going to bite the hand that feeds me, because some of my clients do it. But some BDs are so focused on meetings, and they've had to cancel meetings, and they've got another meeting, that actually they don't have time to speak to their 10 top guys every week and make sure they've got the lights on, to keep the lights on. I think it's nuts. And I understand, I also, from another perspective, if you're a big machine and you've got lots of people working for you, you probably do need to keep KPIs in place so you know, because you know what works, etc. But I do think there's an element of we're losing relationships because some people are so focused on making sure you speak to every broker and get every meeting in your diary and make sure everyone gets 3 pitches. When actually, 20 guys there that you've missed out on because you're pitching to everyone that wants that, you know, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. There's 14,000 brokers. You can't pitch to everyone.
Crikey, is that the number? I best get.
That's what's on my CRM system anyway.
I've got plenty left to do.
They're not the rest, unfortunately. That's including Resi, but they're all on my CRM system. That's the reason I know it. Because
after this, I'm jumping on a train to come and see you, mate. But yeah, I mean, I know where my sort of bread's buttered, for one of a better phrase. The guys that have been loyal to me, you want to be loyal to them. You want to make sure you're staying in touch with them first and foremost. And again, mate, there's so many ways of outreach, and I love them all. But a broker on broker recommendation is the best one you can possibly get. Like, doing my work for me. Oh, so-and-so said you could do this in 5 days, and you've gone through the gears with them. Would really like to give you a try. And again, I've had to rely on that a bit in London. Some guys with them.
How hard do you work on those as well? How hard do you work on referrals? I say this in the office, even though, you know, some people, Dan, this is going to sound bad. People give you shit referrals as well as amazing ones. But you just do absolutely everything you possibly can, because there's no better feeling than somebody saying, you did a good job for us, please do a good job for this person. I think it's the greatest like honor in work.
100%. And you know, I like to think that sort of follows us around a bit. Once we get guys on board, we tend to retain them. It's a challenge to get some people on board, and sometimes we've had to wait our chance, and sometimes you've got to go in the back door in terms of not nicking clients. But when I say go in the back door, it might be lender X has promised this, and lo and behold, we all how nice one goes. They promised that, and then once they get to credit, the rates changed from 1.1 to 0.9, or so the other way around, to 0.9 to 1.1.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't get any business if that happens. Yeah, it's all the excitement of being on your podcast, mate. I'm getting I'm getting a bit nervous, but
no, I get what you mean. Yeah, you see it as well with other lenders, don't you? Because you'll go, oh, by the way, they're doing this, and you think, like, you're a bit long in the tooth with it now. You go, well, okay. Our recruiters, they've told me they've got 8 people ready to go. Like, okay, well,
yeah. Sometimes by standing still, you come out looking the best. You know, I've had to wait to get business by saying, listen, if you need me to pull you out of a bad situation first, and then I'm going to be higher up for your thought process next time. I'm not too proud for that, mate. As I say, I've knocked doors and I've done cash flow loans, so I'm not here thinking I'm the man. I know what we're good at. I know what I'm good at, and as I say,
why is that, Dan? I'm interested. What's your niche there? What are your guys? What's your sweet spot that you guys are doing really well?
I mean, in terms of the business, I assume you're asking, mate. Yeah, we're bridging specialists, so we're privately funded. We made our name on auctions, so with the fast turnaround, high pace stuff. Now, pretty much everyone's doing auctions now, but you know, I've done bridging in 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, and you know, and again, reputable brokers that you and I both know will back that up. This isn't just a case of Dan's coming on here, giving it the big one, and you know, there's no sort of way of tracking that back. You know, we when you're lending your own money, the reality of it is, mate, you can take a view. You can do instead of evaluation, you can do a drive-by or send a QS with the owner to go to the site the same day, or all these things that others can't. So we're a lot more agile than pretty much anyone, and I think our communication is as good as anyone. Of course, you're then fighting against the fact our pockets aren't as deep. We can't go as big on the loan to value. We're not going to be the best on the rate. But mate,
the best on the rate thing's bullshit anyway, isn't it? There's only one best rate. There's 240 people. There's one best rate. So no one's looking at the. I mean, obviously, you know, you want the best deal you can get, but it's about getting the money, getting it delivered, isn't it? And the one thing. But that's I think is the key point, isn't it? Is the deliverability.
Well, everyone's process is different. And if I tell you, when I came in, one of the first things I did, we changed our process. For me, indicative terms on a bridge within 3 hours. Obviously, development deal would be longer because there's more to go through. If you like the look of that, we then get a shopping list together to get it credit backed. Once it's credit backed, that is us signed on. Of course, if it goes to evaluation, which they don't all do now, we do quite a few without evaluation. That can impact it, or if something comes up in legals, that can impact it. But yeah, I hear horror stories about, you know, lenders changing their mind like halfway through the legal process, or or credit committee meetings for the sake of credit committee meetings. Like if me and you meet about something enough, we will change our mind.
Yeah, if one of you has that idea that it's not right, you'll find a way of not getting it done.
So our credit committee process is pre-legal and vows, so there will never be a penny spent, and that's the only way I should see it. I don't understand how it can be any other way. I know some lenders take a commitment fee, and that's fine, but we don't do that. But we are in.
Never pre-sales nuts if you don't know you're going to lend the money.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I don't.
What are you committing?
I don't get it. So it's very transparent, smooth process through to the point of it being credit backed. Once we get the credit backed terms returned to us, we then instruct legals and or vows, and then we motor on. And mate, we made our name on the slick process. It's
done.
We're a small team of 8. We like to get deals and we like to get them out.
I have interest, Dan, because obviously I know we talked about the city and you're based in the Midlands. Is your business fairly well spread? Because obviously 90% of the money is in town, but we speak to so many London-based businesses, bridge and development, that want the area, want the Midlands, want the Northwest, that kind of thing. So, do you think it's work going the other way, that you're actually based in the Midlands and you're kind of you're nipping into town, or do you think what's the difference for you guys?
So I do. Sort of the ideal thing for me was going to be to have someone in the south full time, and I do Midlands and North. That would have been the dream. But while I've still got a good engine, I'm just going to take it all on myself, and we'll worry about that later.
Yeah.
After we
sounds like you do recruitment.
Mate, listen, the aim is to be coming to you sort of the second part of this year or starting next year. But I was that scarred with my last bit of recruitment that.
That wasn't me, by the way. Anyone listening?
It wasn't. So no, it wasn't. But you've invested a lot of time in training someone. I think it's the old argument of, do you get someone who I would class as seasoned and ready to go and sort of very experienced in the market, or do you get an up and comer with the best attitude, willing to learn, take your advice on board? I mean, I like to think after 10 years in this part of the game, I've got a bit to sort of give. And that's a conversation we're having in here regularly. But I think for now, after not the best year last year, I'm just focusing on growing it myself, and then we'll reassess. But in a long
I would love to be part of that conversation, by the way. Nothing to do with recruitment. Because I see the whole of the market, right? And the easy win for everyone, so they think, is getting that guy who's black book and his 5 years and blah, 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 and blah, and there's a reason he's moving. I think we're missing out on this opportunity, these amazing, like, telephone BDMs, internal guys that want the chance, hungry, young guys who understand the market, technically gifted, maybe sat in a fucking analyst job. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some really, really gifted young people in this industry that we completely neglect, because I tell you, and I do understand this as well, if I've got X amount to spend on recruitment, I want the sure thing. Whereas actually, if they took the time to do the recruitment process properly and train people, we would have some phenomenal people coming through in business development, as opposed to this fucking great big skills gap we're getting where new people aren't coming in.
That's the attitude, isn't it? A lot of these guys aren't hungry anymore for whatever reason. I mean, you mentioned giving someone a chance. I mean, the owner of Little Business Loans, a lifelong friend of mine, I owe him a lot. He kindly saw the skill set, but knew I was raw as hell. But mate,
that's the magic. It's the seeing the character and the traits that make you good. Like we have. I'll put this as recruitment, is that we have interviewed recently maybe 15 people coming from recruitment, and they're just very broken, and there's always a reason why it's not working, and blah. But the latest guy we took on he was working at Nando's, and he's just got all of the traits you want, like resilience. He's a likable guy. He's hardworking. Those things, doesn't matter. They don't know what we do. We can teach that, but you can't teach someone to get up early in the morning. Yeah, no, he works for me now. He's good. But he's worked his way up to a manager in a really short space of time. He's only 21. But we interviewed so many people, and we were just like, why are we not practicing what we preach? Because we say to our clients all the time, start hiring youngsters, and then we were looking at trying to fill that easy role, where they come with a black book, etc. But it's it does take deep pockets and patience at the same time.
It does, and it's maybe something you and I could speak about when we actually catch up, sort of next couple of weeks, aren't we? But yeah. It's because my issue for that, not my issue. Well, I suppose it is my issue because it's time is number one. Yeah. Where do I like this? The up and comer sounds like a great idea, but if the person's not already in the industry, how do I, where am I getting that from? Am I trusting you?
There are great people in the industry that just haven't been given the opportunity yet. And I speak to them every day. You speak to, I spoke to a lad yesterday, and I was like, you don't know this yet, but you're the fucking future. And I get a bit carried away with myself. But he was like, oh yeah, thanks. Like, he said it to everyone. I'm like, no, don't, because the next generation also aren't as like salesy as we were, if you like.
Yeah.
So when you find a good one, like, they're phenomenal. But everyone's like, well, if he had 3 or 4 more years experience, I thought, and it just, they're out there. They've got the knowledge. They've got a little bit of experience. They just need the opportunity. But having said that, I also get paid for moving experienced people as well. So it's a tricky one. But I genuinely think there's a skills gap, and it won't be a fix until we all start taking punts on some of these youngsters.
Well, I mean, a lot of time there as well, it can be sort of someone we had a cracking intern in here, sort of in between uni and going on to the first job, wanted to come and get some sales experience, wanted to just be in an office environment. And one of the owners knew his dad, and it just instantly, my concern was going to be, I'd ask him to make a cup of tea and he'd email me back. You know what I mean? But it was just switched on, give him a little task, does it. And of course, all these guys, what they are, you nailed it. They're not as salesy as us, and possibly as streetwise, but tech-wise, they're a million times better than us. So, they were showing me a thing or two along the way on that side of things. But, I give him 20 guys to call. Just picked up the phone right away. Wasn't scared. Loved it. To be honest,
That's the logic.
If he didn't have his aspirations to go into a different type of business, I think we would have kept him. But then we've had 2 since.
I'll have him.
They were 2, and they were more sort of the type.
It's a little bit more kissing frogs. But I'll be honest with you, you see people move again in the experience world. It's not a done deal just because someone's got experience either. So it's safer money, but it's not. It's not 100%. So I could talk about it for hours, but that's my job, isn't it? But so I did say I'd only keep half an hour, and I've already gone over. But anything? So if you're on that note, Dan, if you're speaking to, or if I'm speaking to, or someone is listening who is a young BDM looking for that kind of chance to get in, what do you think the main character traits that make a successful BDM? And what should they really hone in on when it comes to skills?
Well, I think one thing about me, I came into it fresh-faced, without much experience, but you just got to work harder than anyone else. Like, one of the guys that I've learned a lot from, and I still speak to quite a lot, my old sort of ops director at Little Business Loans. Hard work outdoes talent. I wouldn't say all the time, but a good proportion of the time. And it's not a case of just being the first one in the office and we're last out. I mean, that's setting the right impression. Don't get me wrong, but you've got to be attacking it from all angles. If you've got the willpower, you've got the determination, the rest will flow. We can all learn products, get those meetings and get in front of people. Sort of maybe you take advice from those people around you. I was never shy to do that. Don't get me wrong. You shouldn't be asking the same question twice, but ask questions. You know what I mean? Just ask questions. I mean, mate, the gig development finance. So I came into this from a cash flow background. Bridging is quite easy to get on top of. Right, loan to value, rate per calendar month, location, property type, England and Wales, done. But then you start going development finance. You look at the schedules at work, working out price per square foot. I didn't know what I was doing. I was winging it a bit. I had my little script in front of me that I was calling all my old brokers from my old gig, but. I'm asking a senior underwriter. I'm asking the head of credit. I'm just annoying the hell out of them, but in a good way.
It's really important as well for business owners is to engross their BDs with their underwriters and get it across. Their analysts to understand, because if we understand the whole process, we understand what we're selling. And I think your first couple of minutes when you came on, you said about really buying into your products. I don't think you can do that without the full knowledge. So people have to understand why you do it as well, don't you, to be a top salesperson?
Without a doubt, and still to this day, it doesn't happen very often, I'd like to say, but I get put on my toes by a really thorough broker. Again, usually development finance rather than bridging. And don't just nod your head. If you don't know, you know what, I'll speak to the head of credit and come back to you. Nobody's perfect, but ask the questions.
I think we can say that's a great question. It's a great way of saying I don't know.
There you go. But I mean, again, and there's people respect that. Just the honesty and the hard working. In our line of work, it goes such a long way. And then with that, you can finesse that with your patter. Of course, we've all been to a networking days where you've got to nail your business in 60 seconds.
Got to schmooze it a bit.
Yeah.
Good.
So for the up and comers, the people that are getting into it, put yourself out there. Don't be scared. Ask the questions. Work hard. You're going to go far. With those bits, the rest will come for sure.
Amazing. Great advice. And thank you, mate. I really appreciate your time today, Dan. If obviously all your socials will be on our socials, but if anyone wants to get a hold of you, whether it be brokers about big property finance or just speak to you in general about your kind of career or theirs, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Don't say your phone number, by the way. It's full of nutters on the internet.
Noted. You can email me, catch the direct message me on LinkedIn. I think you've got all my LinkedIn details, so you're going to put those up.
Yeah.
Pretty active on LinkedIn. Email address is on there as well, dan@bigpropertyfinance.co.uk, just in case you want me to shout that right out. But listen, my phone number wouldn't be hard to find. I've been patrolling the.
No. I'll give it out.
I'll make them work. I'll make them work a little bit if they want to get me on the phone rather than just spitting out here. But yeah, listen, the phone's always on. I've only got one phone. I'm looking to do plenty of business on it, so get me on that if need be.
Good stuff. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, everyone listening and watching. It's been another episode of NRG Insights. But thank you again. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Marcus. Cheers, buddy.